job as a bouncer at a strip club in Vegas called the Palomino Club, which is the only club that serves alcohol and is fully nude. A lot of funny stories from that place. This guy gets up and he walks over to me and just goes, whoop, right into my fucking neck, in my throat. And I'm just like, fuck you, motherfucker. I wish I could tell you what it was that I was doing, but I didn't get caught for any of it. And I stole a lot of money doing it.
Right.
All right. I see the SWAT shields and they don't see me yet. So in one motion, I ditch the gun behind the TV and I dive into the middle of once they let me out, I'm like, fuck you, catch me if you can.
Hey, this is Matt Cox, and I'm here to do a true crime story, and we are going to be speaking with a super interesting guy. I was actually interviewed on his podcast. His podcast is Nowhere to Go But Up.
Thanks for having me on, brother. Appreciate it. And it's good to see you.
We've already been talking for about 15 minutes before any of this, so we should have recorded that and stuck it at the end of this. Anyway, so you came through. What wasn't Tampa? It was what, St. Pete, Florida?
I was in St. Pete. I went down there to be on Concrete. Show you've been on quite a few times, right. And before that, Tyler. Shout out to Tyler. He hooked it up, and you and I. And you and I crossed paths before I went to that interview, and we did one in the hotel room. I'd gotten a suite specifically, so it had a section where I could put a little studio and stuff in there, and that was pretty cool. The only thing I didn't like about that setup is watching it back on the video was how much weight I had put on during COVID.
Yeah, you were pretty thick.
Yeah, I was girthy, that's for sure.
So let's, but we kind of went over my story, like what your story. You have a crime story. You ended up getting in some having some issues.
Yeah, issues. I mean, that's a nice way of putting it.
So let's get into that. Like where were you? Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in a small suburb of Northern California in the East Bay, close to San Francisco, probably 30 minutes outside of the city, going east. And I was, raised, my parents, my father was a cop. My mom, she was a stay-at-home mom, and he was an alcoholic. And so I grew up in a very tumultuous environment, some violence. I mean, I don't know if I actually saw any of it, but I know I heard stories about it. And, I guess my sister and my brother would whisk me away as soon as it would start erupting and into a closet and start singing to me at some point. So I don't know. I heard stories and not really sure what I saw, but I know how I became in life. And I think I must have seen something because there was a lot of similarities of the stories that I heard and my own actions. So down in life. So.
Right.
And so, so basically from the time I was 5, my mom had me in daycares and all these things. I was definitely rebellious. I got kicked out of preschool. I literally got expelled from preschool. I couldn't have been like maybe 7 or 8 years old. Whatever age you are in the 3rd grade. There was some kids that were walking in the back field behind us from the school that I was going to at the time. I was in the 3rd grade, and they were walking, and I imagine they were mouthing off or something, and I picked up a dirt clod, what I thought was a dirt clod, right? You know what I'm talking about. They're hard dirt.
Yeah.
And I went to throw it, and usually when you throw them, they just sort of go poof in the air, right? Well, this one didn't. There was a rock actually in it, and the rock hit a little girl right in her face, and it was from a distance too. Like I wasn't even
have to be impressed by the shot at least. I hit her. It was wrong, but I did hit her. It was a good shot.
Dude, I killed that shot, man. So yeah, I ended up getting expelled, and so that started the whole latchkey for me, right? The great American experience of the latchkey kid. which is a horrible experiment. I don't recommend you leave your kids alone to no discipline or structure or anything. It just is not a good idea. Went through that, learned that I didn't really need anybody because I'm doing everything on my own. So like anything that my mom would like try to put me on restriction or whatever, I just be like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna take the phone off the hook and go and do what I want to do and come back home, put it on the hook, and I was on the phone.
Right.
Learned how to be manipulative, just got into all kinds of shit. And then when I was about 16 was my first, no, at 15, I was a freshman, was my first run in with the law. And I had, it was on a summer, the first time I'd screwed some chick. I didn't know that she was dating some gangbanger from, you know what I mean, the next town over. And I got a phone call, and it was on the answering machine. Remember those things? And the
Yeah.
guy left a tape message, right? And hey man, I'm gonna cue you, come down here and there, blah blah blah. And so I took that tape and went to school the next day, and all my little gangbanger friends, which I wasn't a gangbanger, but I was like the chameleon in high school where I can go from every different group and fit and mix in, right? And so I went over to them and I played the tape and I said, man, listen to this dude, man. So I was like, what we would consider today like agitating a situation and trying to build up some excitement around it, right? So I can get these guys on my side to come down with me. And so it worked. And so by the time lunchtime rolled around, there was about 7 carloads full of guys going to the next school over in the next town, and we all park and start walking down. And I see the chick, and she just bolts, she runs, right? And so the guy next to her, I know that that's probably who sent the message. We get to him, and then immediately all my people like fucking surround him. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, dude, I'm a pussy. I don't fight. You know what
Right.
I mean? I don't know how to fight. I'm just this
A lot
guy
different
that,
talking. It's a lot different talking shit when you're with your buddies when you're
yeah.
safe and being faced with the guy.
Yeah, and so what ended up happening, this guy fucking starts reaching in his pocket, and that was a mistake. He should never have done that. Somebody comes from behind me, hits him. He pinballs, bing, 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 ends up running into the store. Somebody catches him at the door, picks him up, slams him onto the counter, proceeds to take everything off the counter with this guy. We come back around like to sort of get into the store to see what's going on. The guy that's on the counter got that knife out of his pocket, eventually opened it up, and then slashed my friend across the face with it. All of this is on camera, okay, in the store. So we take off. Once that happens, we all jam. We take off. It was more of a scratch than it was. The knife was kind of dull, so it could have done a hell of a lot more damage than it did. But the point being is, I go back to school. I'm sitting over at Subway as if nothing happened. Right? I'm eating my sandwich at lunch. I didn't touch anybody. I didn't do anything, so I feel like I'm safe. Right?
Right.
Hell no. The school security somehow knew I was at Subway and comes and gets me, and now I'm in trouble for inciting a riot. So that was my first introduction into there, and then it just went all downhill from there. Got
Were you
involved in
arrested?
meth at 16, 17. Got declared incorrigible from my mom because she couldn't control me. I was doing meth, staying up all night, not coming home. And so basically I became a ward of the state.
Were you arrested for the inciting a riot?
Yeah, they arrested me, and I got put on probation.
Okay.
So I got put on probation, which gave, you know what I mean? And I didn't take it seriously. I mean, I did all kinds of crazy shit, man. Like I remember one time I got out when I was in juvenile hall. It was around Thanksgiving. And so my mom wanted to take me to my, sometimes they'll let you out when you're a kid in juvenile hall to go do things, right? And then come back. It's like a weekend pass. And so I never came back from it. I went to Thanksgiving and then just bolted and took the BART train and went and hung out with some chick for, a couple of days, and then turned myself in, got charged for an escape. I do all kinds of stuff like that. Just literally one dumb decision after the next, and it just would catapult me into an even worse situation or even more time hanging over my head. And so that continued on through, I think, there, and then ended up getting in trouble again. They gave me the option of doing 9 months in juvenile hall or going to a drug treatment center because I cried, "Oh, I have a drug problem. I'm on meth." Trying to get out of trouble by crying that story.
And you were on meth.
Yeah, I was, but I mean, at that point, I didn't really think that I had a problem. I was just trying to play the part, play it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? To make it seem like I was more fucked up than I was, so I could get some either leniency or maybe go somewhere different,
Yeah.
which was the rehab or the group home that they sent me to, which was supposed to be for 6 months, but it ended up being like, fuck, man, it was I was there for 16 months, and yeah, well, because it was like a rehab, so it wasn't really based on time, it was based on progress. And
You weren't
so, I mean,
progressing.
no, dude, I was manipulating the staff. Like I would, like I got into the kitchen. I wasn't a kitchen worker, but I was sweet with the kitchen lady, right? The worker there. And so she would let me come in and I would make like fucking an omelet and like all kinds of shit that was different from all the other kids that were in there, right? And then I'd come out and sit right in front of all of them and eat this omelet while they had these like fucked up ass eggs and shit. And so I would just do all kinds of things to manipulate situations into, what I needed them to be. I was selling cigarettes to the clients. Like, you got 5 cigarettes a day. So I'd managed to get money in there, and because I was cutting people's hair too. So I was making cash from cutting people's hair because you got like $5 a week. I was giving that money to the guys who would come from the Emancipation House down and can leave. I would give them money. I'd buy them a pack of cigarettes and they'd buy me like three, right? And I'd sell those cigarettes for $1 a piece. And so I'm like hustling and selling in there. And then like I remember one time I just left. Like there was a chick that came in and I was like, God, I want to fuck this chick, right? And so I was like, all right, let's go, let's leave. And so I convinced her to run away with me. I had money to take the BART. I took the BART to my mom's and then took the this is so funny. I just remembered this story. Um I took the BART to the bus to my house. I knew my mom had already gone to or was going to leave for work, but we got there like hella earlier than she was already there, right? So I remember I had up in the hills, I had my tent up there that I would go and I would, escape up to the hills to like my fort, right? I had a sleeping bag in there. I had all kinds of stuff in there. And I'd only been gone for like maybe 6 months at this point, 7 months. And so we cut up there, went up there and got what I needed, came back down, took a shower and, got some more of what I needed. And, called my mom, say, "Hey mom, I'm at the house. I need a ride back to, back to the rehab." And, yeah, just stupid shit like that, man. Just like no like thought of consequences for
Right.
actions and behaviors.
He built some of the nation's largest banks out of an estimated $55 million because $50 million wasn't enough and $60 million seemed excessive. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't typically commit crimes, but when I do, it's bank fraud. Stay greedy, my friends.
Support the channel. Join Matthew Cox's Patreon.
At what point, I just think, at what point did you say, look, I got to get out of here? Or did they just get tired of you and say, yeah, he's good, just let's get rid of him?
No, I actually realized that I wasn't going to go anywhere and they weren't going to let me go anywhere until I started actually working the system or like
Right.
conforming basically. There's
Were you,
a there's
were
a
you,
there's a
were you really conforming, or are you just playing the part? You were just faking your way through it, or?
No, I had actually surrendered at that point. And there's a this is the most, for me, the term that I just don't understand and I wrestle with quite a bit even today is surrender to win.
Right.
and it's super foreign to me. I just don't understand it. But at that point, I realized that I had to surrender to get the fuck out of there, right? And
Right.
so I actually just let my guard down, and allowed like I really started participating. I got really involved in school and wanting to graduate, and so like I applied myself there. I ended up like writing some essays that won me some scholarships. Then like at the end, when it was time for me to go, like I had accomplished so much, and I was doing outreach work to high school kids and going and telling my story to high schools, and you know what I mean, getting letters back from them. And it was like there was a transformation that was happening, and it was really really cool. But I was so young, you know what I mean, that I didn't really grasp it, right? I
Right.
didn't really understand the opportunity that I was given, to make something different of myself and change the direction, right? Or change that narrative. And it lasted for a little bit, but then it all went away. I think probably 2 years later, I got out when I was like 18, 19. Went to my so I left there and went to live with my brother, which is now my sister. And that's a whole that was a whole shocker there, learning that. And then I went back to my mom's. From there I went up to Sacramento, and I moved in under on top of some meth addicts. So they were living downstairs, and obviously at some point we would cross paths and realize that, oh, you like that shit too. And went back on that run. And this is I'm about, I think, 18, 19, no, about 19, 20 right now. 20, I would say mid 90s. I got really heavily involved in selling coke and ecstasy and GHB and like all the club drugs, and was really, running a lot of things, had some crews going on in the Sacramento area. I ended up getting a stripper pregnant because I spent a lot of time in strip clubs in the Sacramento area. There's about 4 or 5 of them. And at the time where I was living, I had 2 twins that worked at a club that I was like their big brother. Like we were, always hanging out. And so they would always bring their friends over, right? Because I sold drugs, and, strip clubs and drugs, they kind of go together hand in hand.
Right.
And the drug dealers that I was dealing with, because I was a horrible drug dealer. Let's just get that right the fuck out straight up. I was a break-even drug dealer. I partied way more than I made, and I was always broke. But I always had drugs. And the only thing that kept me from getting my ass kicked by the dealers is that I had all the strippers around me. And so if they wanted to continue to come to the party, they kind of had to put up with my lackadaisical attitude towards paying people.
Okay.
So yeah, it was super interesting. It was a good time, a fun time, but I mean it was a
In
lot
your
of
yeah, in your 20s.
yeah, in my 20s. And then I tried to recreate that whole scenario when I moved to Vegas. Fucking completely failed. That's where I ended up falling, was when I lived in Vegas. So anyways, I hooked up with the stripper, got her pregnant, ran into a situation with another a gentleman that wanted to kill me, or you know what I mean.
Right.
And so, me being the coward that I was at the time, and the non-fighter, and I was a big dude, and a lot of people never really tested me, right?
Right.
And that's I to my detriment, because it gives you a false sense of who you are if you haven't fucking proven anything about who you are, right?
I
um
agree.
and so I ran. I'm like, fuck this I don't.
Why does
And
this
so
guy wanna kill you? Why does he wanna
I don't know. um it was a strange situation. We were all on drugs, and
Right.
this was the crew that I was rolling with, and we would like like you gotta think of the time period. So this is like the late 90s, right? Maybe 97, 98. And club drugs and raves were just popping up, right? That was the thing. Strip clubs were just, becoming a thing. More places were having them now. And so being connected to that, these other groups knew that that's, kind of like my lane was. And so they would call me up and want to party at like fucking 3 o'clock in the morning, right? These other crews, and be like, "Hey man, who can you call to bring over?" And so I started becoming the guy that had all of the, like, my nickname was Mr. After Hours,
Right.
because I had all of the chicks that I could just call up because they just got off work at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? They're just getting home. Or if they would hit me before they get off, I could set the whole thing up and have like seven chicks, you know what I mean? Coming to hang out to come do ecstasy or whatever drug that these guys got, and they want to party with. So
But what are you doing for a living at this point? Still just selling
I'm
drugs?
just selling drugs. I'm
Okay.
selling drugs. And then so here's another thing, another part of that is I would find guys that would want to hang out, right? There would be people that would be, "Oh dude, you got all these chicks. I just want to be in your, like, in your ethos," right?
Right.
And so I would find, marks within there. And so there was one guy, he was a ER doctor, and he had gotten fucked up and prescribed himself. Like, this guy was in the news for writing prescriptions for himself up and down the Central Valley. And but these doctors, they have insurance, right? That if they get fucked up, or if they get addicted, this insurance is paying this motherfucker $10,000 a month.
Oh yeah,
You-
yeah, like loss of income insurance or
Some shit, man. But I was like, "Ooh, cha-ching," right? That's what I was thinking. So I ended up letting him start to hang out, and then eventually I'm like, "Hey, you know what? I think my PG&E bill was up to like $1,000 and getting close to being cut off, right? And I was drowning, and I was going to lose my uh, townhouse. And so I convinced this guy to move in, right? Hey, you can have the master bedroom, dude. You'll have access to all the chicks that come over all the time. And so he was like, game. He's like, hell yeah. So he paid off all my shit, got me current with everything. And then come to find out, like about a month and a half, 2 months into it, this guy's a fucking nut. He's just a crazy, like, weirdo. And remember, GHB, that's the what they considered the date rape drug, but that's not how it started. It started
yeah,
as
yeah,
a like a supplement that bodybuilders would take, and it helped them, get them into REM sleep immediately, and then it also burns fat, as you're sleeping, and some other shit. So this guy, because I was getting that stuff and I would use it, I went through plenty of issues with that. I should be dead like 5 times from that shit, but managed to live. Um, he was he was doing the date rape shit, right? And he was bringing these girls over to take pictures of them, right? He would say, "Hey, I'm a photographer." And he had all of the stuff that made it look like, because this room that he was in was huge, the master bedroom in this townhouse. And so he would lure them in by saying, "Hey, I can do your portfolio," right?
right.
He'd fucking drug them, and then he would take weird pictures of them. Like, I caught him I saw a picture of him that he took of this chick, and he would like shove chow mein in their fucking pussy and take pictures of it and do like weird shit, right?
Oh, geez.
And so,
There's a
yeah, I
lot of
had to
weird,
get rid of
there's a lot
that
of
dude,
weirdos.
man.
There's a
Yeah, I
lot of
had to get
weirdos
rid of
out
that
there.
motherfucker, but I mean, it's just crazy shit like that people I come across. Anyways, so yeah, I left, went to Vegas, took the chick with me, had the kid, ended up, I had a partner from one of these crews that came out, and he with his stripper, right? And she moved there, and I'd moved him out before in the middle, like when she went to Vegas, and we for the whole weekend we just like cleaned out his place and moved him out. He ended up getting back together with her. They moved back to Vegas, and then we hook up again, and dude, it's just a fucking mess. So end up fucking off the whole pregnancy and the relationship with that my daughter's mom, um get in so much trouble. Just I mean I made a like I've always tried to do good, right? I would fall off. I would fall off and I would fuck shit up, and then somehow I would make it back and get off of stuff, on my own, and try to build things back up, and like, all right, I'm going to do it this time. This time it's going to stick. This time I'm not going to do drugs, and I'm not going to do meth, and I'm not going to do all these things, and I'm not going to ruin my life. And it just never fucking stuck,
Right.
right? And this was one of those things. And at some point, the daughter's mom, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. If you want this whole story, because I'm jumping quite a bit, go to my fucking link tree, and right on the link tree is my story. It's a 3-hour rendition of a very clear and concise
Is it
rendition.
just you talking?
No, it's somebody interviewing me, but it's pretty much just me talking, because the guy can't get a word in edgewise to ask a question or anything. But I mean,
How long was your interview with Concrete?
it was short, man. It was like an hour and a half. Yeah. Yeah, I had some that I didn't come away from that interview feeling fulfilled. Let's just say that. It was different for me. It was the first time I'd ever gone and done a live in-person thing.
Right.
I was mostly one of these guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
A Zoomer, StreamYarder, live streamer, whatever you want to call it. And so I had done some in-person interviews up to that point. Like I've tried to, and they were just always uncomfortable to me. And we just didn't like, I hadn't talked to him prior.
Right.
There was no like rapport or any kind of thing. It was just coming in straight cold.
Okay.
And it was pretty obvious that he hadn't like even known anything about my story. And so what that did for me was, it because I've done the same thing to people, right? I've come into interviews just like that. And it made me understand how gross that felt as the person receiving it, right? Like, fuck, man, the dude just didn't even give a fuck enough to even look at why I'm here. You know what I mean?
That's how I felt about when I did Vlad. Vlad TV. Listen, he didn't have a clue. He didn't know anything about my story. He had like some cliff notes that some assistant had given him. He's asking me questions that I'm like you just jumped like 5 years. Like what? You know what I'm saying? Like you're not.
Yeah.
I'm telling the story. Chronologically, you just jump 5 years, and then you jump back, and then you just like, what do you, bro? Like you said, you wanted me to tell my story. Like,
let me tell my story.
Yeah, he had no clue what was happening. Yeah. It got to a point where I was like, listen, man, let me just tell the story. Stop asking questions, because you're got me all confused, and it's But anyway, but usually Danny's pretty good. I mean, I don't know what the issue was, but usually he's very inquisitive. Typically, too inquisitive.
Yeah, it's just like some of the questions that he was asking just didn't. It was maybe he just didn't understand. I don't know, but whatever the feeling that I had going into that feeling didn't go away until like an hour and 15 into the interview. Then we started kind of gelling a little bit,
right?
And so it was like, I don't know. The best thing that I said it did for me is it showed me how I made other people feel. Right. Because I'd done that plenty of times to other people, and I was like, fuck, I don't like the way that feels. I'm not doing that to nobody else again. You know what I mean? Or not, or just not interviewing. If I can't commit to honoring your time and your story the way that it should be as a creator, then I probably shouldn't even engage in it. You know what I mean?
Right. I get it. I understand.
And so that's just kind of how it made me feel. I like his show. I like some of the guests that he's had on it. And, I made the mistake too of going into the comments And so, dude, stay the fuck out of those comments.
I know. He's got it's. He always says it's a cesspool. His comment section is just a cesspool.
Yeah, it is, and that didn't do much for my self-esteem. That's
No,
for sure.
listen, guys are, half the comment. Well, some of the videos are just horrific. The comments about me, and then, and the problem is when I initially would go into the comment section, there could be 100 comments saying that's an amazing story. What an amazing guy. And there could be 2 people that said this guy's a piece of garbage. He's lying. None of that ever happened. This guy's full of it. And I would go nuts or get all upset and depressed. I mean, that was initially, like, now I'm so far past any of that, but initially it was crushing. I was like, what?
Yeah. So I just stopped. I don't even fucking go in there. But yeah. So I mean, it like where were we at? We went
to the stripper girlfriend, and the guy moved in. You said you had to move him out.
Okay, so at some point we end up splitting up, and mind you, like I'm not the best significant other at this point, right?
No.
To any of the relationships that I've been in, I'm a bully. I'm toxic. I will do anything to make you do what I need you to do, short of beating you up, because I know beating you up is going to put me in jail. So I don't know if that makes me even a bigger piece of shit or not. But I mean, this is just how my modus operandi, and then it makes sense now that I look back at what I'd grown up with,
right,
that I would turn into this, right? And so at some point I split up with her, and I have the kid, and I was so remember that scene in Blow with Johnny Depp when he's having his kid?
Yeah.
So picture me in the same situation, only on GHB. Nodding out in the fucking in as we're having as she's in labor. I can barely fucking stand up, and our neighbor, our guy who's those guys, she's a stripper, so our neighbor is there.
Yeah.
Right, the guy, yeah, the good friend that is just waiting in the wings for this to dissolve, so maybe he can have a shot.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it was so fucked up, man. And I don't even remember my daughter being born. I don't remember cutting the umbilical cord. He could have been the one to cut it for all I know. And so a little bit shortly after that, we ended up splitting up. And then at some point she is going to go to California for Christmas. She says, "Hey, can you drop us off at the airport? I'll let you. Can you take my SUV? And please don't drive it." Okay. So they go. It is Christmas Eve in Las Vegas. I'm fucked up on GHB, driving her SUV to Rum Jungle in I think that's can't remember what casino that is. I'm there by myself, partying it up. You know what I mean? Because when I'm high, dude, I will go anywhere by myself. I don't care. I've got a fucking funny ass story about me in Naked City in a crack house. How I managed to find myself in a crack house when I'm a meth addict. Craziness. Anyways, the I leave. The last thing I remember when I'm driving in this story is I remember taking the turn to go to Flamingo South, and I'm going like towards the Strip, or towards North Las Vegas at this point on the freeway. I take this turn, and that's the last thing I remember. And the next thing I remember is I hit a fucking telephone pole, and I tacoed the whole SUV, right? Like the whole thing came down and went wham right the center of the roof. Nothing happened to me. I get out and I walk across the street like nothing fucking happened to the 7-Eleven. I go and I get a Gatorade. The lady who just probably seen this happen is looking at me like what am I watching right now? I go and I get that Gatorade. I pay for it, and she doesn't say shit. Doesn't say nothing to me. I walk back over there. I get the fucking GHB, take another cap, blackout again. And the next time I wake up, I'm standing down the street in front of a fucking closed drive-through order, just like just nodding out, right? And I'm like, I get my bearings. I'm, where the fuck am I at, man? Right? I'm looking around trying to like figure it out, and I see the car being put up, or the vehicle being put up onto a tow truck, a flatbed. I run over there and I go, no, wait, hey, that's my car. And he's like, we've been wondering where the fuck you went. And I'm like, yeah, I whatever. I'm like, hey, can I get something out of it? Did it again. Took another fucking cap, right? Did not even care about the car, what's going on, or the ramifications of what kind of fucking trouble I'm in now. The relationship that I'm trying to save. None of that.
Right.
Take the cap again, blackout again, and the next time I wake up, I'm in the store that if I would have missed that telephone pole, I would have ran straight through the liquor store. And so I'm in the liquor store in front of the fucking porno section, and I'm blacked out doing that same thing, right? Nodding out. The police are now coming in. I wake up, I come to, the police are next to me, and they're leading me out of the store and into an ambulance. So at this point, they don't know that I'm fucked up on anything because they can't smell it. GHB, you can't smell.
Right. They think what? Maybe head injury?
Yeah,
or
exactly. They think I had a head trauma. Right. And so
it really isn't that far from the truth based on the story so far. But anyway.
Yeah.
Right. There's some issues, but not from the accident. Go ahead. Sorry.
So as I realize what they're doing, that they're trying to push me into the ambulance, I fucking tense up and start fighting them. Right. And they like get me into there, and they say, stop fighting, you're just, dude, this is for your own good. We don't know what's going, we think you've had a head trauma, and like, do you remember what you did? You know what I mean? They're just like they're super concerned. And so I'm like, all right. So I get in, and the ambulance driver's like, or not the driver, but the tech in the back, right, who's tending to me. As we pull away, he's like, dude, cut the bullshit. What the fuck are you on?
Right.
And I'm like, nothing. And he's like, look, man, if you don't want me to put something in you that's going to hurt you or interact with whatever the fuck it is that you're on, you need to tell me what you're on. You know, you're not going to get in trouble at this point. Somehow you've managed to get off the hook on this one because they think something different. And so I go, okay, so I fucking, spill the beans because I don't want to die from something that they stick in me with a drug interaction. And so they get me there, they hook me up, and like I'm there for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I pull everything out and fucking jam. And the only thing that happened to me from that is I got a $90 ticket for the light pole. But it ruined my relationship with my ex, because when she came back and she's like, dude, what the fuck? She let her insurance lapse.
Oh, wow.
So not only did I just wreck her car, I wrecked her fucking life, right? Because now she owes the money on that car, doesn't have a car. I mean, she's a stripper. She makes a shitload of money, but that's not the point. The point is, is that I thought so little of this person who supposedly I loved and I had a kid with and all this other stuff. And, I just literally just fucked their life up. And so that was the end of that one. We kind of went our separate ways. She hooked up with some other dude. Never really saw my kid a whole lot after that. I ended up getting in a DUI. I got my ass fucking whooped by the highway patrol in North Las Vegas. I woke up. I mean, because dude, drinking and me are not good, dude. I turn violent as fuck when I'm drunk, and I was drunk. Now, I didn't do anything to these officers, and I remember, because I was conscious enough to remember exactly what happened, right? And when they pulled up to me, my head was on my chin because I was passed out driving, right?
Right.
Woo! I come to, and I'm like, hi, hey, right? I pull over, and they pull me out of the car. I couldn't pull myself out of the car, right?
Right.
Which means if I can't hold myself up, I'm probably not gonna be able to hold my fucking head up, right?
Right.
They claimed that I tried to headbutt one of the officers by doing that, and they proceeded to whoop the fucking shit out of me, like beat me pretty
You're
bad.
probably just dozing out.
Yeah, and that's all it was. And so I knew that, right? I knew I just got my ass kicked when they knocked me unconscious to where when I woke up, I was in the back of the car at like just pulling up to the police station I came to.
Hmm.
So there's some head trauma there, right?
Okay.
I'm pissed and I'm drunk still. They get me in there and I'm fucking literally throwing my shoes, throwing my shit at these fucking officers, right? I'm hot because I know that somebody just fucking violated me. You know what I mean? And I didn't deserve it. Yeah, I was drunk, but I didn't do I didn't deserve that. And so, anyways,
Right.
there was one of the officers came by me and I wasn't in cuffs and I went to fucking strike his ass. And and luckily we were in a portable, right? We weren't in a concrete floor or the floor had some give.
Right.
They fucking nailed me, dude, right on my head, my temple, wham, on that floor. So there's second trauma. I wake up strapped to this motherfucking thing, still drunk, and an officer's right in front of me, man. I just start talking shit. Fuck you, you fucking pig, you motherfucker. Da, 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 da. And after about 5 minutes of this guy gets up and he walks over to me and just goes, whoop, right into my fucking neck, in my throat. And I'm just like, fuck you, motherfucker. So yeah, dude, horrible.
He built some of the nation's largest banks out of an estimated $55 million because $50 million wasn't enough and $60 million seemed excessive. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't typically commit crimes, but when I do, it's bank fraud. Stay greedy, my friends.
Support the channel. Join Matthew Cox's Patreon.
Bro, how much did you get time for all that?
Yeah, well, I had to go through the whole DUI thing when I finally sobered up and I was in the pod. The officer that I went to hit, he actually came to the unit and he pulled me out and he goes, "Hey, man, I just want to see if you're all right." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right." And he's like, "Do you even remember who I am?" And I'm like, "No, He's like, "I'm the guy you tried to hit." And he's like, "You need help, my friend."
Right.
Because if you're getting drunk to the point where you're making decisions like that, the next time you're probably going to be in here for killing somebody.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I don't know if I really took it. I don't even know. So anyways, I don't know how I took it at that point. It made enough of an impact that I remember it. Right.
Right.
But I don't know if it did anything to deter what was going to happen, you know what I mean, down the road. So
Yeah,
while I was in,
I met a guy in federal prison that was a truck driver that had been up on meth for like a fucking 5 or 6 days or something, and was driving through a national forest and dozed off and ran over 2 hikers. Just a couple, like a couple of 20-year-old college student hikers in a national forest or national park, and he drove right through it and just happened to be federal land.
Yep.
Now they don't have a vehicular homicide in the federal system, so he took 2 pleas of murder, and he got 15 years and did 85% of it. And but yeah, it's like progressively, he could tell you progressively it got worse and worse. He said, I just, I would get in trouble and I would do whatever it was and I'd go right back to what I was doing. It just progressively got worse and worse until eventually he killed somebody. I mean, it was, and that's, so I can see that because that's just the progression.
Yeah, well, he was thinking more like my anger, not the drinking part. He's just like, dude,
Oh, okay.
I've never seen anybody come in that fucking charged up.
Oh, he wasn't the cop that pulled you out of the car.
No, he was the one I tried to hit
Oh, I
in
thought.
booking.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he was one of the officers that found you in the vehicle.
No. This was one of the booking officers, the one that was walking around that I
You were throwing your
strike.
keys at, and
Yeah, and so he's like, dude, I've never seen anybody like that fucking angry. It's like, dude, you just like there was something different about you. You know what I mean? You were like somewhere else. It wasn't even like you were possessed or some shit. He's like, I never seen nothing like that. And he's like, I just want to let you know that you need to you need to address that because you know you seem
right,
like a good dude. You know, it just whatever it was. Anyways, so while I was in there, though, I got served papers from my ex to like she wanted to like release me from my parental rights, right? And so at the time, I had some time to think about it while I was in there, and instead of thinking like, you know, hey, this is my responsibility, you know, it's my daughter, you know, this is my blood, this is this, I'm going, oh,
right.
this, yeah, well, shit, I'm like, dude, I won't have to pay child support
Child
if I
support.
do this. If I don't show up to court, if I don't contest it, I won't be on the hook anymore for like. And I hadn't at this point, and I hadn't really connected with her just the whole when she was born, right?
Right.
I wasn't even there, so I mean, the connection never got really made between me and that child. And although I remember it, I tried to be that, but it just never took.
Well, you're a drug addict at this point.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
really.
you're it's everything you can do to just, keep yourself on drugs and just maintain your own lifestyle and keep yourself off the fucking streets at this point, right? So
Yeah,
that's your
to a
whole
certain
focus.
extent.
Yeah, but I mean that's your whole focus is just kind of like getting money, staying high, having a good time. Like, you got to get off drugs to really make that kind of connection, probably, I'm sure, like
Yeah.
you're not really like a father at that point.
Yeah, you're an absentee.
Right.
So yeah, we that whole thing transpired, and I was like, all right. So I, you know, thought I made the right decision for her, you know, being the stand-up guy I am. You know, I'm looking out for the best interests of this child. So yes, I probably shouldn't be in its life. And so I just forgot about it. Unfortunately, when you make decisions like that drugs are numbing out, you know what I mean? Even though I wasn't on drugs at that point, even when I got off drugs, it took 2 years for me to fucking for my mind to get right. You know
Right.
what I mean? And not have these fucked up thoughts or you know, triggers or any of that. So, I mean, even I was sober, I was not right in my right mind at all at any point, you know, up into the to this point and further until I actually until 2010, to be honest with you. And we're probably in what 2000, not even that. I would say 2001, 2 at this point, because I fell in 2004. That's when I went to prison, and that was it until I got out. Um, so I ended up, you know, getting out of that. I decided to go to Phoenix to do a geographical because, you know, the problem is in Vegas. It's, you know, it's not in Phoenix. Phoenix is fine. I'll do well there.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately, the problem keeps following me because I'm the fucking problem.
Right.
But unfortunately, you don't realize that sometimes for a long time when you're busy running all the time. You don't look in the rear view quite as much. So I go to Phoenix, stay drunk there the whole time because I'm punishing myself now for the fucked up decision I made for my daughter, which I don't really realize because it's all subconscious. So subconsciously, I'm punishing myself for that decision, and I continue to punish myself. Fail there, come back, living with some friends, still working a regular job, and they decide they're going to move. So I moved to North Las Vegas into this shithole. But before I moved there, I get a job as a bouncer at a strip club in Vegas called the Palomino Club, which is the only club that serves alcohol and is fully nude. A lot of funny stories from that place. But what I did is I just reverted back to what I know, right? Where I can find somebody to fucking take care of me or to mooch off of or to leech off of.
Right.
And that's a stripper, right? And so I go, I get a job, I get hired there. I start talking to this. I've already been talking to this chick already that I met there, right? Because before my friends moved, I got the job, had been working there for about 3 weeks, met this one chick, and I'm not on meth at all at this point, right? I'm clean, trying to move through, but I know that I can find some reprieve in a stripper somewhere if I could just land it. So I hook up. What's funny,
I was
dude?
just thinking, you're like, if I just gotta arrange it so that I can hook up with a stripper because they're perfect enablers.
Yep, right,
Right,
right.
right.
So I find it. She says, "Hey, come hang out." She lives right down the street from where I'm staying. I'm like, cool, yeah. I mean, she's kind of hot, and it's a little, not the body type, but it's like, all right. I mean, she's hot enough where I'm like, dude, I'll fuck that. And so I go over there and I walk in, I knock on the door, and it's a gate, like a cement wall with a gate and a deadbolt and a regular a doorknob. So it's kind of a strange setup. I knock on it. She said, "Come in." I come in. There's a sliding glass door, and these sliding glass doors and this setup is going to be important later on in the story. So I meet her. As I walk in, dude, she's sitting there smoking a fucking glass pipe of meth. I hadn't done meth in about 2 years at this point, right? Maybe a little less. My heart starts racing, like pounding, like because I know I want to do it, right?
Right.
But I know I shouldn't. I know the first thing I should do, and I'm thinking, as soon as I see what she's doing, I'm like, walk away, walk away, walk away, walk away. Like turn around, turn around. No, 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 no. Red flag, red flag.
Right.
But I can't. I keep walking and I sit down and I get fucking high. That starts a 2-year, because this is, like I said, 2004. This is about 2 years. A 2-year run of selling meth and orchestrating crime in the greater Las Vegas area, and really turning up how I'm learning how to wash bills and make counterfeit money. I'm learning how to take information and turn it into money, right? Like not just like shit, like cash. And all of this is happening because as I'm sending these guys out to do my dirty work, right? And I hook up with these all right, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I end up losing that job because the owner of the strip club is pissed because I'm fucking one of his girls and he's not. So I get fired from that. And I'm like, all right, what do I got to do now? So I'm like, all right, well, fuck. I better start selling some meth because I've got 2 mouths to feed and 2 pipes to feed now. And I'm not gonna get a job because I'm unemployable at this point, right? Because
Right.
I can't fucking not be on drugs.
Right.
So
I mean, you actually can. You were off drugs for 2 years, but your go-to move is, well, got to start selling meth. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. But it's not an easy thing to stop.
Right.
Right? Because it's not as hard as stopping heroin, I would imagine, because heroin has that physical addiction. Meth is a little bit different because when you stop it, the train just goes. It's not like it goes off the track; it just stops. And then now you've got to, go to sleep for 3 days, 4 days, get it out of your system. I mean, it's like a fucking it's no fun. And so it's got the same sort of like a physical addiction, but it's more of a mental one at that point. And so anyways, where was I at?
Lost your job because
Yep, yep, yep. I was unemployable, and so I started selling. I started employing these other tweakers as I started selling drugs, and people started realizing that I'm in that game, right? Which is completely different in Vegas, and I'll tell you why. It was such a different animal than where I was in the Bay Area, California. Um, I got involved with this one dude, this black dude, and he was supplying me with quite a bit. And we'd been in that relationship and arrangement for about a year and a half, and no problems. All of a sudden, I get I'm involved in doing all my thing, right? And there's another guy that he sends to me instead. So I'm no longer dealing with him. I'm dealing with somebody else. Somebody else is a CI now, right? He was compromised and then sent the heat to me.
Right.
So now I'm under an investigation. I'm getting super paranoid at this point, right? I've got a lot of people around me. I've got a lot of shit around me, a lot of stolen stuff around me because I'm sending these guys out. These guys that are mainliners, right? I used to call them stickers, but they're people that were intravenously using this drug. And to me, in meth, I only smoke it. I'm a better addict than one of those guys. You know
Right.
what I mean? They're on Skid Row, and
Yeah.
so they're lucky that they've met me because I'm giving them drugs, and I'm giving them the vehicle, and I'm giving them all of the tools to go and commit crimes for me, and then bring back all of the stuff, and then I pay them in drugs. And this truck that I have is it's been painted like a couple of times, and the rack's taken off, put back on, all these different things as I'm sending these people out to cause chaos amongst the town.
What are they doing? They're robbing places or
Yeah, they're
burglary?
going and doing smash and grabs.
Oh, okay.
And so well, I didn't get in trouble for this, so I'm not even gonna talk about it.
Okay.
So that's going on. As I'm learning how to do these other things, I end up like on this investigation thing, right? And they're literally like been watching me for a month. I have guns. These guys bring me guns. They bring me everything, right? So I have all of this shit like stacked up, fucking receivers, stereo receivers. Like you should see like what I did with my stereo system. I had like 30 fucking speakers hooked up to like this surround sound system. You know what I mean? I couldn't sleep. Like I would stay up for 3 days at a time trying to figure out how to do something and perfect it, and then I would crash for a day, and then I'd wake up and I'd start it all over again. And so I would like have all of this fucking stuff, and amongst this, which I didn't realize, is I'm ADHD. So the meth to me is like fucking Bradley Cooper and Limitless.
Right.
Like it's like super hyper focusing me to where I can get shit done and figure things out, and like holy fuck, right? When all the other tweakers around me are like have a million projects scattered about and can't figure out nothing. And so that just put me on a different level altogether than them. Not that I was smarter, I just had a whatever it was.
How did this end up becoming, what fraud and you ended up in prison? I mean, what like this is
So I had learned how to utilize information. Like I had hooked up with this chick that worked for a tour agency, and she was giving me stacks of like reservations, and then the reservation had all of their information. It had their address, their phone number, their credit card number, their CCV number, like everything you need to like almost steal this person's identity if you were that good, right? And so I had tons of them to burn through. And so I was figuring out the weaknesses within what I was trying to do by burning through some of these. And so I would figure, oh, that's what I need to do to get through this, right? This set of security. And so I wish I could tell you what it was that I was doing, but I didn't get caught for any of it, and I stole a lot of money doing it.
right.
All right. And so
Okay.
I had gone cross country to do that. I'd figured out how to do this thing, right? And so I'd gotten a new identity. I was stealing this guy's name. I can't remember what the fuck his name was, but I had managed to get a credit card in his name sent to me. I'd managed to answer all these questions. So now I am this person. I
Right.
have the ID that I made. I have the credit card to match it. I've got like 5 cell phones that I'm running through different area codes as we're moving through different area codes, setting up wire transfers, right? And collecting. And I'm making the IDs in the back of the Durango that's rented in this person's name. So I'm this person.
Right.
And so I'm doing this, going across country, making these stops, picking up cash, and making the IDs as I'm going, right? So we end up running out of fucking meth in
Damn it.
if we end up running out of meth in fucking in Amarillo, Texas. I don't know what to do. I'm like, all right, well, fuck, where can we get some more? It's not like you can just go to the fucking store, you know what I mean, and say, hey, I need some more meth. We're trying to think of places we can go. We go to the strip club. We try to get there. They don't fuck with me because I look like a goddamn cop.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so we're stuck. Can't find no drugs. Get a hotel room and sleep for 3 days. Our roommate at the time is like blowing us up. Like, where are you at? When are you coming back? Where are you at? When are you coming back? Bitch, you've never given a fuck what we're doing.
Right.
Why all of a sudden now are you like needing to know every step that we're making?
Did your
So
place
that's
get raided?
no, not yet. Nuh-uh. So, but there's something in the back of my head going, okay, red flag there. All right, we need to get home because I need some goddamn drugs. I've slept for 3 days. I'm irritated. I'm agitated. I'm foggy. Let's just get on the road and get going. But let's set up some shit on the way back, right? And so we can hit some more of these things, and we do that. I end up with like 30 grand in cash from what I did, and this bitch is still fucking blowing us up. And I'm like, okay, there's something up here. There's something going on. I'm not going straight home. I'm gonna stop at my buddy's house. I'm gonna hide the cash, and then I'm gonna go to the house. I don't know what's happening, but this is just something not right. We show up, we get into the house. There's 2 dudes there. One I know, one I do not, and the roommate. So we sit down, we're passing around the pipe, smoking, and the guy pulls out a gun and he sets it on his lap. And I realize it, and I go, "Hey man, put that shit away. What's up with that, man? Put that away. You don't need that in here." And he's like, no, I don't think you understand. I'm like, understand what? And he's like, get the fuck on the ground. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I understand that.
Are they
And so
cops? They're not cops.
no,
They're smoking.
no.
They're robbing.
So the dude, yeah, they're taxing me. So apparently the guy said he was a Hell's Angels dude, the Hell's Angels guy. The guy who brought him there is the roommate's friend. He's a hang-around trying to earn his stripes. So he tells him that I'm going to get a shitload of methamphetamine and drugs, right? Which I have no fucking idea where that came from, but that's not what was going down. And so he was like, all right, we're going to tax this dude when he gets back. Gets there, he separates us, right? And starts questioning her, starts questioning me, trying to see if our stories match up, right? And they do. And so there's nothing he can do. And so finally I'm just like, hey man, dude, check this out. What is it that you're trying to get? Because you're not going to get a whole lot. I mean, you got some bike, I bought some fireworks from, whatever. So like whatever you think that I've got, I don't. And you're probably going to fuck yourself off because there's a bigger treasure trove over here.
Right.
So I'm basically like trying to like do Jedi mind tricks with this dumb fuck, and he falls for it. I tell him, hey man, this is what I'm doing and what I went to try to figure out. Not that I got a bunch of cash from it, but I was trying to see if I could make it work and that I did. And this is on the horizon over here, right? And he's like, oh shit, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. They steal like a Cannondale bike, they steal a computer, or they didn't steal it. I'm just like, they didn't want to leave empty-handed, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, here, take this, take that. Well, once they got them out of the house, I'm like, fuck this motherfucker, I'm gonna kill him. And I used that ID to go and buy a shotgun in that identity, right? Went down to Big Five, went and bought the shotgun, fucking passed the test, and walked out with it. Or no, I didn't walk out right within, because there's that cool off period, right?
Right.
But like 3 days later, I was able to go and pick it up. In the interim of this 3 days, right? We got home. I had some chick working for me, or no, there was some chick that I wanted to fuck. And so I set it up where put her in a hotel room, and I'm like leaving my house in between, the 3 days, going and fucking this chick in a hotel room. I'm paying cash for it at this point. So there's no, and it's in her name, right? Her ID. The mistake that I made is the ID that I fucking stole, and they would have come across this anyways, because unless I would have picked somebody who matched my description, I used a fucking black guy's fucking name.
Wow.
Or a black dude's shit. And so when I went to use the credit card, and I used my ID for the next day, right? And this the very day that I'm going to pick up this gun, they sent that information to Metro, right? Because they do it with everybody to make sure you're not a fugitive. If you do go to a budget rental weekly thing over in Vegas. And so obviously you're going to, I'm not black, right?
Right.
And so they told me when I went to check in, oh, your room will be ready in it's about 11 o'clock. They said, oh, your room will be ready in like 3 hours. And because I wanted a completely new one, not the one that we were in, right? And I'm like, and I didn't think nothing of it, because I know I have to go and pick up this gun. So that's more on my mind than 3 hours. It's 11 o'clock. You should have rooms that are available for me to just go in right now.
Right.
So I go on, do my thing. We come back, pick up the gun, come back and pull in. I'd already gotten the key. And as we're walking in, they just swarm me. And they're like, I was so tired. I was so tired at that point from being on the run and not sleeping, and just like, I was so relieved it was over. I'm like, fuck yeah. So anyways, the same fraud and forgery guy that came when they blew my doors in like fucking Noriega, this is the part where I said, pay attention to these doors. So when they finally came for me, they had seen that I was carrying all the time, right? Because I'd pull the gun out from under the seat, put it in my back, walk,
Right.
to the house, or do the reverse of that, getting into the car. So they came in with fucking force, right? The SWAT team came in. The first thing, so it was like 3 o'clock in the morning when they raided me. And like I said, I knew something was around the corner. I could feel it. I got rid of all of the fucking guns for some reason. I just ditched them. The only one I had was one, and it was like a little 22 Derringer or 25, small pistol with the serial numbers filed off, which would have caught me 5 years if I got in trouble with it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's sitting under my desk, or under reachable from my desk, right, out of sight. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I have my buddy over. The TV's on super loud in the living room. My girlfriend and her friend are asleep in our room. I have $100 bill that I'm working on the screen, right? I hear this fucking boom, boom, and I can't tell if it was from the TV or what it was from, right? And then I'm like, did you hear that? And he's like, yeah, what the fuck was that? And all of a sudden it was another one. A flashbang came into the living room, because they thought that's where we were. Right. And boom. I think it's a drive-by. I'm not even thinking that it's the cops at this point. Right. I tell him, get the fuck down. I grab the gun, and it's at my ankle, right? So picture a hallway, right? A hallway that's about 10 feet long, and then at the end of that hallway to the right is a straight line to the door. All right, a wall that goes right to the front door. That's what they had blown in. They blew that one in, and they blew the glass sliding door
Right.
in the kitchen. And so, but what was in front of that door, which would made them not be able to see what I had, was one of those fucking giant projection screen TVs that weighed like 1,000 pounds. You remember the
Right.
ones I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
That they're about like 6 feet or 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
So as I come around that corner with my hand down at my ankle, I see the SWAT shields and they don't see me yet.
Mm.
So in one motion, I ditch the gun behind the TV and I dive into the middle of the thing with my hands on my head. Like I don't even give them an opportunity, right? My hands are going behind my head as I'm sliding in, diving. They zip tie me, they hog tie me, they bring everybody out. I take responsibility for everything, right? I said, it's all me. They have no, and they're like, bullshit, prove it. How do these people not know? I said, well, first of all, I'm the only one that has access to these rooms because they were all dead bolted and I'm the only one that had a key. Because they literally went through and they tried my girlfriend's keys and none of them could open it. I'm the only one. So the story matched. So that room I did all my shit, and the outside room where I washed all of my bills, and there was a whole nother fucking workspace in there. I'm the only one that had the access to. So that story matched. But when they were outside, the first flashbang that they shot in didn't work because I had double pane glass windows, and because I lived near Nellis Air Force Base. And so I tinted the inside windows to where it had that, when you looked at it in the daytime, it was reflective.
Right.
So when the first flashbang went through the first pane, it was just a fucking circle. It didn't make it through the second one, and it bounced back and blew up on them. So that caused their police dog to bite the officer. So before they even came in,
They had their own crisis going on.
they were already pissed, right? And so I'm hogtied, and I'm trying to tell them, it's all me, nothing. Da, 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 da. And it's like, why didn't you just fucking open and knock on the door? I would have fucking answered it, you dipshit. Yeah, I was pissed, right? Because like, what the fuck did you go through all that for? It was not necessary. I gotta fucking run. So, anyways, I start mouthing off, and I'm hogtied, and then two of the officers pick me up and ram my head into the fucking big screen TV and busts the fucking screen. But what it does is it pushes the gun. It pushes the TV up over the gun, so they never found it. They also never found all of the drugs that I had hidden in the TV VCR combo, which the police dog missed because it was up in the corner. So all of my cash, all of my drugs, everything was in there, and they missed it. So I get let out on my own recognizance 3 days later because I don't have any cases. This is the first time I've ever been arrested on a felony. And so I go back, and they had been cleaning up the house. They didn't even know where the drugs and the shit were, the people that were there, or else they would have stolen it.
Right.
All that was there. The gun was gone, though. No one can tell me what happened to the gun. The cops didn't get it. It's not in my fucking, you know what I mean? I don't have a charge for it. Like, where did it go? Well, the guy that was helping them clean up stole it. And then he ended up getting involved in a raid like 2 weeks later and had it and walked right into the fucking raid. So he ends up getting, so he ends up getting charged with that fucking gun. So anyways, we move out of there. I have enough money to go and start my shop somewhere else. Fuck, I'm not going to do drugs anymore. Not that I'm not going to do them. I'm just not going to sell them anymore because I don't want another charge of selling drugs. So I switched right over into fraud and forgery, right? Because I'm already doing it.
So you're on the run, or you're just out on bond?
I'm out on bond. Right?
Okay, so it's not like you took off on the run. You're still making your court appearances. You're still calling in.
No, I'm on the run. Once they let me out, I'm like, fuck you, catch me if you can. Because I mean, dude, I know I'm going to go away for a while, right? I got 5 fucking controlled substance buys, right, for an ounce, and so that's not like little. It is little if you're in California, but at that point in that time and period in Nevada, which is that was a lot.
Yeah.
So I get out, I change everything, we move. I wire this place to where, well, first of all, I make it to where you can only get in one way at the top, you can only get it one way at the bottom, and I have everything covered with a camera where I can see in. I've got another exterior door that I built in to where they're going to have to get through that before they can get into the main entrance, to give me time to do whatever it is I need to do. I don't know, man. I was just fucking super paranoid at this point, on the run. And so this is where I ended up going to making that trip, learning how to do all this other stuff. So I'm just catching us up back to where I just got fucked off by this guy, right?
Right.
So I go back down. He doesn't get any of the cash. I go back down, get the cash. I get arrested. Oh yeah, okay. So that's where we're at. I get arrested. I'm in the back of the cop car. It's about 115. I'm like, I cannot stay awake. I'm falling asleep. It's like there's detectives everywhere. These other folks show up, which happens to be the fraud and forgery guy from the first place that I got rated at. So he already knows me and everything that I've accomplished so far in that last one and accumulated. And then he had this other dude who was doing a ride along with him, which was a Secret Service dude, which fucked me. And that's why I got the federal charge.
Mm-hmm.
When I got arrested, I had a box full of shit that I didn't even know I had, that had credit card numbers in it. So I ended up getting charged with 30 counts of fucking access device fraud for that. And then the guy told the fraud and forgery guy, he goes, look, I remember the last time that we got you, and I've been waiting for you to pop up for sure, because I knew you were going to. And he's like, you're back at it, but you're doing something a little bit different. He's like, look, you don't want to get charged with any of this shit right here, right now, because I've got you dead to rights for about at least fucking 15 to 20 of them. He's like, take me to your house, give me your shit, whatever you have, and then you're going to go, you're going on your fucking warrants. And so he would just wanted to get any of my computers and any of the information that I may have had. And so I did. I took him. I told my girl, hey, man, the cops are coming. It's probably the last time you're going to see me, but I need to give them all my shit. So if you got any drugs or whatever, fucking, get rid of it.
Get out of the house.
Move it. Get out of the house. Do whatever you got to do. And so I did. I went and I gave him all my stuff. I had made these Social Security pages, right? Like sheets of Social Security cards that they couldn't decipher if they were real or fake. And they're like, dude, where'd you get these? I said, I fucking made them. And they're like, no, you didn't. Quit lying. Where did you get these from? Tell us where you stole these from. And I'm like, dude, you want me to turn on my fucking computer? I'll show you the Photoshop document. Yeah. And so anyways, it's just, I ended up getting to jail, sleeping for fucking 4 days, really realizing like, fuck, because it doesn't hit you when you get to jail. It hit, especially for me, because I had to come down, I had to sleep for 4 days, and right around that 5th day, it started hitting me where I'm in like a dorm setting in the middle of the night.
I'm going to be here for a while.
Who, you?
No, I'm saying that realization, oh,
like,
wow.
I really fucked up.
I'm going to be here for, this is it. Like, this may be a long time, right?
Yeah. And so I was curled up in a fetal position, just fucking like lost it, like the shaking, convulsing, like fuck, I hope nobody fucking hears me. Oh my God, you know what I mean? It's like the high pitch. It's like, man. And so from that point on, I started to, like, I didn't know what my choices were. Like, I disappeared from my family. My mom had like put in a missing persons report on me because I hadn't been in contact for so long. So I had to call and, hey, I'm in fucking trouble again. Can you help? And so, she did the best she could. I tried to fight the case on my own. I started, requesting stuff around my case and trying to see, what kind of action I had or what could I do? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what to do.
I have a question. Are you in federal custody at this point?
No, state.
Oh, it's state. Okay. So it didn't go. So the Secret Service didn't bring it federal.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
It's coming though, but
Right.
I'm not aware of it, right? I'm just trying to get through this part of it, and so I'm reading, that the drugs, they need to test them, and that there's a huge backlog of testing and this and that. So like I'm trying to figure out how I can, like, I guess, manipulate the system in a
Yeah.
way, or work it towards my advantage. And so I decided to not waive my right to a speedy trial, to force their hand in the testing, right? I was hedging my bets that they wouldn't be able to get the test in time for that 60 days because of the backlog, and then they'd have to dismiss it if they couldn't produce the evidence.
Right.
So around that time when it came, a week before the trial, I realized that the prosecutor and the public defender were both colluding to, like, basically they're wheeling and dealing me, trying to get a conviction out of it.
Yeah, yeah, trying to convince you to plead guilty to something.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh shit. Because how I found that out is my public defender was supposed to be on vacation the day that he called me. And I'm like, hey, whoa, wait. Aren't you supposed to be on vacation? I contested us doing it, like pushing this off for a week to give you more time and to give your fucking prosecutor more time. And you're calling me when you're supposed to be on vacation. So that just tells me that you just fucked me. You're trying to railroad me. And so I told my mom the story, and I was like, dude, I need a lawyer.
Right.
They're trying to hang me out for like 15 years, 2 to 15 on a first felony. And so I ended up getting that. And in between that, like maybe like 7 months later, the indictment for the fucking feds come. And then I go into Fed custody and fight in that case. And kind of where I got screwed was I was supposed to have my state running concurrent with my Fed time, but the judge in my case she saw what I was doing from the beginning, like
Right.
that I'm not like some fucking drug addict. Like, dude, you're fucking intelligent. You're not what you're trying to claim to be.
Right.
And so she made it to where it didn't happen that way. So I ended up having to, it was running wild for me, which
Right.
was, I mean, it was not a lot, but I mean, 18 months is 18 months, right?
No, it's always more than you expect. It's always a worse sentence than you listen. Whole time I was locked up, I met two people that told me I got what I deserved. I'm happy with my sentence. I'm right. Actually, to be honest, they actually, both of them didn't say I got what I deserved. They basically said I'm happy with my sentence. I deserved more
Mm.
than what I got. Like they immediately, one of those two guys was that guy I told you about that ran over the two hikers.
Mm-hmm.
He said no, when I was like, I don't know why I automatically said to him, "Well, are you fighting it?" And he looked at me and he goes, "I killed two people." He said, I killed two people and I got 15 years. He said, "That's a good deal." He said, "I deserved way more than that." Like he had accepted it. He had the right attitude. That guy probably went on and made something of his life because he realized that he was lucky.
But I mean, that would have been a tough one. I mean, I think about that sometimes too, because I'll look down at my phone sometimes, and dude, that's all it takes. All it takes is glancing at your phone and veering off, and you'll kill somebody who's, either somebody walking home from school, a kid riding their bike,
Yeah,
some
they're just living their life.
pedestrian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, so 18 months might not have seemed like, it's always any time in prison just sucks. Even if you have it coming, it still sucks.
yeah, and so I learned, and so once I got through that, and I got sentenced, and I ended up in a contract facility in North Las Vegas City Jail, which is a fucking dump. But at the time they had the contract for INS. So all of the illegals that would get rounded up would come there. And so a lot of times there's, Southsiders or gangbangers, right? So a lot of Sureños were coming through at the time. And the area that I'm from is, I'm not a gangbanger at all. I don't fight over numbers and shit like that unless they got dollar signs in front of them.
All
But
right.
I know about it, right? Because I'm from the area where the Norteños are from. And so somehow some way, and because when you're on a yard and you ain't seen a girl in a while, and all of a sudden you're next to, like, the girls come out in the girls unit, and like everybody gets to see them, they like pile up against the
Yeah.
fence, and they're trying to catch a glimpse. This little fat fucking gangbanger like elbowed me in the fucking chin because I was trying to look, and he's like, "Get off me, man!" And when he did that, my natural reaction was I stepped back and I just fucking whap, slapped him open handed fucking on the back of the head. And like everybody was a whap. Everybody just like stopped what they were doing, and he didn't do shit.
Oh, I was
He
gonna say that's
he didn't do shit, but I didn't understand any of this, right? Like what I just did.
yeah. I was gonna say it may not be a problem right then.
So like he didn't do nothing, and I'm just like thinking nothing of it, right? I get a call to go, attorney call, right? So I go to the phones, and so you can imagine what's transpiring now, right? They're grouping up, they're at their table,
Yeah, they're talking. You
they're
can't let that
talking,
light
looking
go.
at me as I'm on the phone, and I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, like what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Because I know, man, it ain't gonna be one. It's not gonna be fair. So anyways, I got off the phone and walk up to the and I'm rolling on my own at this point, right? I haven't clicked up with anybody. I don't understand the politics. I'm like, I came here alone. I'm fucking leaving alone. That was my mentality. And so I go and I walk up to the thing, and fucking four of them follow behind me. And I know, okay, well, I need to get in between the bunks so none of them can get around me. And so that worked for a minute. Uh, but as they fucking, these little Mexicans are small, right? Like,
Yeah, but there's
it's
a
like
lot of
two,
them.
yeah, there's a lot of, like two of them, to one of me. And so they finally got around me and started. And so my only choice was, I was like, and I had to think about this really fast. I'm like, dude, just let them do what they got to do. Cover your face so you stay in the unit. That's all I cared about, was staying in the unit. I didn't want to go to PC, right? I
Right.
didn't want to get taken out like that. And so I just dropped down and I covered my face, and I just let them fucking go to town on me. And it was time to lock down, right? This had all happened. Everybody could hear it, right? And everybody knows something's going on up there. They leave. They didn't get my face. I got some knots on my head. They release us for dinner, and so the first level usually will go and they'll sit down and eat, and then they'll let the second level out. We'll come down and we'll sit, and wherever we sit. First thing I did is I look right at them, right at their fucking table, and I said, dude, all of you, and I'm still walking. I'm like, fuck you. And right after that, something happened. Like I think a day later, um, everything kind of slowed down. The whites approached me and they go, who are you rolling with? Like, what are you? Like, are you
Right.
Mexican? Are you fucking other? Are you white? Like, you're dark. What the fuck are you? And I knew, like, I'm Mexican, right? But I didn't want to roll with fucking Mexicans because I'd be a torpedo.
Right.
They'd want to use my size because I'm 6'1", I'm 6'2", 6'1", and 250 fucking pounds. That's a linebacker, a solid linebacker.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, of course, they're gonna want that, and I didn't want that. So I came in from the beginning lying about what I was. I'm Italian.
Right.
Hey, I'm Italian. Forget about it. Hey, Vinny, come over here. I said I'm Sicilian. That's why I'm dark. And so that's how I rolled through it. And so anyways, like a week later, not a week, like a day later, some fucking huge fight breaks out between the Southsiders and somebody else, and they lock us all down, and they only allow us to separate tier time, right? And so all my funk was with the INS people that were down in the first tier, so we were never out. Well, all of a sudden, the INS contract gets fucking canceled, and all of his backup, all of the Southsiders get fucking bounced out one morning, right? And moved somewhere else. So it was just him and two other Southsiders. And I yelled down to him. I'm like, his name was Cartoon. I'm like, hey, Cartoon, your people are gone. As soon as we're done, it's on, motherfucker. And he ends up rolling himself up and leaving. So I never got a chance to. But I mean, so everything in pre-trial follows you through whatever fucking system you go to.
Right.
All right. So whatever story you come up with in the beginning before anybody knows you, which is almost like the banks, right? The only reason they know anything about you is because what you fucking tell them.
Right.
Is how I rolled through that. I did my my time in Nevada State Prison for 18 months. I fucking, what's that shit called? I paroled out to my Fed sentence, went to Sheridan, Oregon. Took me 3 months of diesel therapy to get from North Las Vegas to Sheridan, Oregon. 3 months.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. And I went to this place called Florence, Arizona, that has like 10 private prisons in this one fucking town. It's just a prison town. It was crazy. I finally got there, got out. I didn't stop doing shit when I got out. I went there and I learned how to do some other shit, right?
Right.
And I knew that there was this thing that I could be doing when I got out that was always in the back of my head. I paroled out, ended up 2008. I got into my trade, which I'm currently still in. I'm a mechanical insulator by trade. I'm a union guy, blue collar dude. I do a lot of commercial construction stuff. I was an apprentice at that time. 2008 hit, work dried up. Unemployment didn't. I had a lot of time and money for nothing, and found meth again, and we're back at it. So from 2000, whatever that was, I would say it was about maybe 2009, because I quit everything in 10. So from that point there, I was out doing credit card fraud, learning how to encode the back of cards. Like, I hooked up with somebody who actually knew what the fuck they were doing, like legit, and had like we had offices that they would gather information, offices where we would press out cards and have everything was separate. So if they took down this, we would still have the information. They took our information, we'd still have our equipment.
Right.
And so we were doing that for a while, and then finally it just kind of all came crashing down because I was married. I got married, AWOL'd the marriage, and just went and started committing crimes, and like it was just fucking crazy. And then in 2010, it all just kind of came crashing down.
Did you get caught? Did you end up, like you say, you said it all came crashing down?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did get caught doing that, which led to so I had one 90-day drug treatment stint that I manipulated my way through that as well, and I was actually doing crime and getting high, coming back to the unit and using fake piss to pass my test if they thought that I
Wow.
was. Yeah, dude, there was a way, and I'd been doing this ever since I was a kid. I
Right.
would never just do shit the right way. I would always figure out a way around it, right? Or
Right.
figure out how to game the system in some sort of way, or find the vulnerabilities in something so I can exploit it. Whether it's people, systems, software, whatever it is that I could figure out how to fucking make it so I didn't have to go to work.
Yeah.
It's really what it boiled down to. My own laziness. And so I don't know where I fucking veered off
I mean,
again.
you got in trouble, but you basically just stopped everything at that point. And in 2010, you said you basically kind of got straight and
Yeah, and it just decided to just like, look, man, whatever you're doing is not working because you're still here. Like, everybody that you've gone to school with is like so much further than you are. Like, if you you know what I mean, you put the people that you like, your peer group, you know what I mean, that you went
yeah,
to school with, grade school with, and I'm like, dude, you've pretty much made come true every prediction that they probably ever had about you. I'll tell you that.
right.
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, what kind of a piece of shit are you? Like, the way you treat people, the way you treat women, the way you fucking do anything, the way that you treat the people that actually fucking love you. Like,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you? And so it was like, at some point, there was just so much of that fucking noise that I had no choice. It was like, either die or fucking either kill yourself, which is like, seems like what you're trying to do with all the fucking things that you've done and situations you've put yourself in the past. Like, shit or get off the pot, motherfucker.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like either be successful and kill yourself, or be successful and not.
Right.
Which
I
direction you want to go?
I understand. I understand exactly what you're talking about, I mean, um, so, but, now you've got like a regular job, but you're also doing YouTube.
hmm Well,
Um,
I wouldn't say that I'm doing YouTube. I'm there.
you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I have a
You're
channel.
interviewing people. You interview people. You interviewed me. You're kind of putting that together, and we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I'm trying to put pieces together, right? And like the whole podcast thing, the only reason why I started it is that I'd been through these crazy fucking life, which we didn't even touch half of the crazy stories. But I mean, it's like this crazy life that I've had, that where I've started from nothing 3 times, like literally went went from to zero and had to like regain everything again 3 times. And I just wanted to hear like stories from other people, like, how did you get through your fucked up shit?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, am I the only one that like is crazy like that? And and that just turned into, I started doing all the things, and literally part of being ADHD is like you want to do all the things. Like you can't, like I can't just just do the one thing and just like be an expert at that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Figure that one out, and then we'll progress to something else. It just has to be everything. And so it's trying to, I like the podcast. I like the show that I started. I think what I did is that my influence was heavily Joe Rogan. And so it comes out that my show is all over the place because I'm trying to be Joe Rogan. And
Yeah.
so I need to just be me. You know what I mean? And figure out what that is and what that looks like, instead of trying to and I mean, it's a great compliment to him, right?
Yeah.
That I emulate the way that he is. But since I've listened to so much of him, the emulation, to me, it almost seems like it comes out as imitation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, imitation is the highest form is the highest compliment, trying to imitate someone. But it's probably better just, be you and put your own spin on I mean, Joe Rogan didn't start podcasting and interviewing people, right? Like,
Mm-mm.
so you just need to figure out how to put your spin on that whole thing by being you. And I mean,
That isn't that life. Life is about
yeah,
just, I mean, you got to figure out what the fucking secret
exactly.
sauce is. You know what I
Right.
mean? And you can't plan viral, I don't think, unless you
Yeah.
have a
No,
whole lot of coordinated pieces and people along with it. Then you
no.
probably could to a certain extent, but I mean,
I
you
don't think
know,
so. Listen, I mean, some people can. I can't. I don't know what people. I'll be done with an interview. I did an interview with this guy who was a wrestler that it was hilarious. We laughed the whole time. It was a great interview. It didn't do great at all. And I'll do another one with a guy who I'm like, this guy didn't even have a story. It's not even a good interview. It's like, God, this guy's irritating. And then bam, it'll get 50, 60,000 views, 100,000 views. And I'm like, it wasn't even a good interview.
yeah, yeah.
You can tell that I didn't like the interview. Like, I'm there. You can tell I'm not just like, right. Like, I could care less. So I just can't plan it. I just don't know. I just know that if I keep doing it, something will hit eventually. And if it doesn't hit eventually, it really doesn't matter because I like what I'm doing and I like my life.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm not here to impress anybody. So I don't have to impress anybody. I just have to be happy. And I'm happy. I'm way happier now doing everything the right way. And things are falling in place way better now than they ever did when I was desperately doing anything I could to make a bunch of money, kind of like what Gary Vee says, like, I'm desperately trying to become wealthy so that I can impress a bunch of people that don't even like me. You know what I mean?
You're desperately trying to run in place for nothing.
Right. It's just stupid. And now I just kind of do what I like to do and what I'm enjoying doing, and things seem to be working out.
Yeah, no, that's a good philosophy, and I think that sometimes, I get in my own way a lot, right? And it's, it's you have to know you.
Yeah.
And you have to like really know you and be honest with yourself. You know what I mean? And know where you lack, where you're strong, where you're weak, and either try to cater to those or figure out how you can incorporate something that accents your fucked up, right? It works with your fucked up, not against it.
Yeah. Well,
And so
definitely talking to other criminals or guys that have been in prison, it definitely worked for me because, I like hearing the stories. I like talking to them. I totally understand what they're talking about. Like, and probably too much. I probably should ask more questions, but when people say things, I'm like, right, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't even ask a question because it's like I totally understand what you're saying. Like you don't even have to explain it. But probably people watching, a lot of these guys are probably like, I don't understand. Why didn't you? And the guys will say that, oh, you need to ask more questions. Like, how did he figure out this? Why did he do that? How did he? And I'm like, damn, but I know,
yeah,
I know how he figured that out. I know where that came from. So,
because you're relating to the story, and you're being a instead of being a facilitator, you've gone into the spectator.
right. Yeah.
And you're like, oh, dude, I totally get what you're saying.
I appreciate you doing the podcast, doing the interview, and if anybody watching is interested, and go to Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. It's on YouTube.
Yep.
You do
Yeah,
have
that's basically what you got to do. So you just go to Nowhere to Go But Up on Google. It'll come up everything, where I'm at as far as that. Or you can just hit Sean Dustin, and that'll come up with everything that I've been a part of, or the shows that I've been on. The easiest place to get to me and everything that I do is my link tree for now, because I don't have a website yet. Well, I do. I just don't know how to work WordPress. So I've had a website for like 2 years going on now, and just never did anything with it. Go to Linktree, the
right.
linktr.ee/ Nowhere to Go But Up. And that's all the places that I'm at, and the spaces that I exist in.
All right. I appreciate it. Or if you like the video and want to see more videos like this, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified. Leave me comments. I try and I answer a bunch. Listen, I probably answer 70-80% of the comments. Or I mean, at very least I read nearly all the comments. Also, if you want to contact me, I get a ton of guys that are like, that will say, how do I get in contact with you? Well, I mean, it just go to the description, in the description box. It's got my email in there. It has all the books that I've written. I've wrote a memoir about my story. Plus if you go to those stories, there's a bunch of Audible. Most of my books are on Audible. What else? I have a Patreon. Also, if you're interested and you want to donate directly to the channel, like you're like, I don't want to join Patreon, but I do want to, I do like the video. You can hit the thank button and you can donate like $1.99. I think it's $2.99, $4.99, or like $49.99. You can donate directly to the, like I know that you donated to this particular interview, and I'll know that. That hey, this guy donated $4.99. So cool. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you checking out the video. See you.